All right, friends, welcome to our meditation time. Let's each settle into our physical spots, whatever we've chosen for ourselves for this moment. Just allow the gaze to soften or the eyes to close, and allow the breath to be calm and gentle and nurturing. Maybe you just kind of follow the breath for the first few rounds, or maybe you know what you need already and you set the pace from the beginning. But whatever that breath looks and feels like, come at it with this gentle perspective. The breath is always an anchor, but it's a gentle anchor, helping us to stay here in this present moment, helping us to feel vibrant as well as calm, alive as well as still. So you just settle in with the breath that works for you today. And just really give yourself permission for these few minutes just to be here. You've set aside the time, you've closed the physical doors, the metaphorical doors, whatever it is in your life that you needed to separate from for just a few minutes. And really think of these minutes as an investment in all the rest. I know sometimes we show up and we do the thing, and then we go back and we're busy. But let's try to do the thing. Let's try to sit in meditation with this idea that we want its effect, its impact, to permeate all those other minutes. So the more we pay attention to this present moment, the more we'll be able to allow that beautiful permeation to happen once it ends. And so we are on this journey of this discovery of karma yoga. And we will spend several days together just continuing to sit and discover and reflect and learn. But no matter how many days we plan, we won't learn it all. But we will learn just enough and reflect on just enough to begin to apply it in our lives. And then as we see the application really taking root in our practice, in our patterns of behavior, then we'll be ready to reflect upon and learn a little more. So karma yoga, this yoga of selfless service, this yoga of action, this yoga that has nothing to do with a rubber mat or postures. It has to do with how we show up in the world. We know that Gandhi is our greatest example of karma yoga in our contemporary times. But what I'd like to do across these minutes now and these days to come is help us bring this to a realistic level for us. And then from there, just see what unfolds. See what becomes of this practice in our world. And so today what I'd like us to do is use the prayer of St Francis of Assisi, the prayer that he's most known for, as a way to really understand what karma yoga is asking of us. It is a yoga of action, but it's a yoga of right action. And so you just continue with that gentle, even, vibrant, still breath. And just listen to these words that are quoted so often across history. St Francis of Assisi says, "Make me an instrument of peace. Where there is hatred, let me bring love. Where there is injury, let me bring pardon. Where there is doubt, let me bring faith. Where there is despair, let me bring hope. Where there is darkness, let me bring light. And where there is sadness, let me bring joy." And there are so many things within those few words that just compel us to want to act. We see suffering in the world, we see despair, we see brokenness, we see darkness, and we want to bring the light and the joy and the goodness. But what I'd like today's minutes to be about is first recognizing if some of those things exist within us. The despair, the darkness, the injury, all these things that are connected to our lived experience. And just because we show up for meditation, that does not preclude us from feeling moments of despair, of having thoughts that are a bit injurious to ourselves. To focus on the darkness and not see the light. And maybe even for some of us, harboring these feelings that look a little bit like hate. And so what I'd like us to do is just sit with ourselves. And really and truly, that's all meditation is. Sitting with ourselves, embracing who we are. And so before we can really begin to compel ourselves to act, to bring the peace and the light and the joy, I'd like us to recognize where some of these things that St. Francis talked about, where some of these things may exist in our own lives. It's not a judgment, it's not an evaluation, it is pure awareness. And so just continue again, that gentle, easeful, vibrant breath. And the first line that he starts off with is, where there is hatred, let me bring love. And so let's just examine our hearts. We've all experienced times where we've been hurt. We've all been the one that things were done to. We've all had unkind acts from others pointed toward us. And all of those, from the human way of thinking, would kind of justify feelings of hate, of extreme anger, of a resentment, whatever word you want to use. And so let's just, in the next few breaths, just examine your heart and see, are there places in my heart where I still feel a little bit of hate, a little bit of that extreme anger and resentment? Again, don't judge yourself, just see if it's there. And with those same eyes, looking at that same soul, that same heart, see if you can see the love that you have for yourself. So that even though there still may be some thumbprints of memories on your heart and on your soul that look a little bit like hate and anger, can you see the love? The love that you have for you. The care that you feel for yourself. See that. And then the second line that he says is, where there is injury, let me bring pardon. You've all seen people who've been hurt, and you feel this overwhelming feeling inside of you if you just want to help. You just want to make it better. But so often, some of those injurious thoughts and ways of speaking, we do to ourselves. And so just kind of check in again, same heart, same soul. Have you been harmful to yourself in the way that you think about yourself? That cascade of thoughts that come across your mind when you look in the mirror. Are you hard on yourself in a way that you shouldn't be? Have you caused injury to you? And then as you notice that breath just coming in and keeping you alive and giving you this next moment, see the pardon the forgiveness, the healing that you can bring to yourself in all those spots where you see the injury. We're all guilty of it. I don't know of a single human who hasn't been hurtful to himself. But that same human has the capacity to heal, to pardon. See that. Oh, and then he talks about the doubt. Where there is doubt, let me bring hope. Again, I can't think of a single human that I know of on this planet who hasn't experienced doubt. If you had a friend that was feeling doubt, you do all that you could to encourage them, to make them feel confident and hopeful. But look into that heart and soul of you and see, where does doubt live? Where are the situations where it just shows up again and again? And as you notice that next breath coming in, it represents hope. I can let my exhale go because I hope, I have belief that there is another breath coming. And so for the same heart and soul that feels the doubt right inside of you, see the hope. And then he says, where there is despair. Where there is despair. Do you see despair in you? Have there been times that you look out at your world and your life and your future, and all you see is despair? And it could be from the things that have happened to you in the past. It could be just patterns of thought that you've taught yourself over time. But look into your heart and see, are there places where there's despair? And can you see yourself bringing the solution to that? The situations are still there, but can you see yourself getting out of the despair and seeing something different? And then he goes on, where there is darkness, let me bring light. If the room is dark, it is as simple as switching on the switch. What about in your life? Where are the dark corners? What's the impact of the darkness on you? And can you see the glimpses of light? And then finally, where there is sadness, let me bring joy. And I don't think that St. Francis or any of these great teachers in history were ever telling us not to feel. They were just telling us, don't live there when it's sadness and when it's sorrow. Feel it. Go through it. Experience it. Sometimes it's the kind that just wrings you out. But once you go through it, can you find joy? Can you commit that you don't want to live in the sorrow and the sadness? Can you bring yourself joy? So just glimpse into your heart and your soul and see, where is there sadness that's just been hanging around for far too long? And so what I want to do is I'm going to take the prayer of St. Francis, and I don't think that he would mind. I want to switch it and focus it on us. And then in the coming days, we'll take it back out and think about how it applies to our world. But it's really hard for us to change the despair of the world when we're still grappling with our own despair within us. It'll be hard for us to understand right action of karma yoga if we can't reconcile the things within. And so I want to take these words of St. Francis and make it a prayer to me. about me. And when I say it, make it about you, to you. I want to be an instrument of peace. I want to be an instrument of peace. I recognize that there are elements of hatred within me, but I claim the fact that there is a lot of love. I admit that there's some injury that I've done to myself over the years, but I'm ready for the pardon. I'm ready for the healing. And I'm willing to say that there are doubts. There are doubts. I have them. They linger. They're powerful. But I have faith in this idea that I can be an instrument of peace. And the more I hang on to that, that doubt will begin to go. I also recognize that I have moments of despair, and some of them linger and linger and linger. But I choose hope. I choose hope. And just like through the phases of the moon that guide us every 28 days, I know that darkness is real. I've seen it in my life. I felt it in my heart. But I also believe just as much in the light. And I want to choose to focus my awareness and my attention there. And I will experience sadness, and I have experienced sadness. But I choose not to live there because I want joy. And so I want us just to sit just for these next few minutes, just in quiet, with this idea of make me an instrument of peace, of love, of pardon, of faith, of hope, of light, and of joy. But I want to start being an instrument of those things in my own life. I want to turn those tools into tools for me. I want to sit with the abiding joy. I want to believe in the faith. I want to see the hope. I want to experience the pardon and the healing. And I want to feel the love. And as we continue to breathe and just sit in stillness, if it feels right, just bring one hand and put it at heart center. And if not, just imagine how that feels. And for that one hand, just imagine you're just holding right there your own despair, my own darkness, my own hatred and anger, my own doubt, my own injury. Own them, embrace them. And then if it feels right, just bring your other hand and cover that one up. And let that hand represent the love and the joy and the pardon and the healing and the faith and the hope and the light. It is possible for us to be instruments of these things within our own lives. And the more that we practice that, this right action of karma yoga, of being an instrument of these things in the world, it starts to feel natural. We're able to help the world see the hope instead of the despair, the joy instead of the sadness, the light instead of the darkness. So as we close our time, I would encourage each of us, myself included, understand where these things exist, own them, see them, but realize we're covering them with this joy and this hope and this healing and this light until that is what we begin to focus on, and that's the place where we choose to live from. That's our foundation for karma yoga. We can't just have right action to the world. It starts with right action to ourselves. Namaste.